Bias in research methodology. Bias in research methodology refers to any systematic error that leads to an inaccurate representation of the truth in research findings. Bias can affect various stages of research from design and data collection to analysis and interpretation. Here are some common types of bias in research methodology. First one is a selection bias. Occurs when the sample is not representative of the population being studied. This can happen due to non-random sampling or exclusion of certain groups leading to skewed results. For example, studying the effects of a drug only on young, healthy individuals may not provide accurate results for older or ill population. Number 2. Confirmation bias happens when researchers seek or interpret data in a way that confirms their pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. Now see the example. Ignoring data that contradicts the expected outcome while emphasizing data that supports it. The third one, publication bias, refers to the tendency for positive or significant results to be published more often than negative or non-significant findings. This can lead to a distorted view of research in a particular field. For example, studies showing a drug's effectiveness are more likely to be published than studies showing it has no effect. Next one is a observer bias. Occurs when researchers' expectations influence their observations or interpretation of data. For example, in a clinical trial, if the researcher knows which participants received the treatment, they may unconsciously interpret their symptoms more positively. Next one is a response bias. Arises when the participants in a study respond in a way they think the researcher wants rather than providing true answers. For example, in surveys, respondents may over-report socially desirable behaviors like exercise or healthy eating. Next one is a measurement bias. Involves inaccuracies in the way data is collected or measured. For example, using faulty equipments or poorly calibrated instruments can lead to systematic errors in measurement. Next one is a recall bias. Occurs when participants having differing accuracy or completeness in recalling past events or experiences, often due to memory issues or perceptual or personal perceptions. For example, mother of children with birth defect may be more likely to remember drugs that they took during the pregnancy than mother of fully able children. Next example is patients recalling their past diet may not accurately remember all details, especially if a long period has passed. Next one is a sampling bias. Results from using a sample that is not random or representative of the population. For example, conducting an online survey might exclude people who don't have internet access, resulting in a biased sample. The next one is a attrition bias. Refers to the bias introduced when participants drop out of a study, especially if the dropout is related to the outcome being measured. For example, if seeker participants drop out of a clinical trial, the results may overestimate the effectiveness of the treatment. Next one is a Hawthorne effect. Occurs when participants change their behavior because they are aware they are being observed. For example, in a study on exercise habits, participants may increase their activity level simply because they know they are being monitored. Next one is a interviewer's bias. When the interviewer's behavior or tone influences participants' responses. Now we will see the conclusion. Bias in research methodology can compromise the validity, reliability, and generalizability of findings. Identifying potential sources of bias early in the research process and implementing strategies to mitigate them is essential for conducting credible, unbiased research. Awareness of various forms of bias and their impact ensures that researchers can produce more accurate and objective results.